because I know the dark side of family court, I know how to get things done. I'm definitely jaded after all these years. My dream for advocacy and family court reform was always pair, like, let's say a fault, like somebody on the wrong side of a false, like a protective order, right? Like that, it just, there was no reason to warrant it. We've hacked the system. Come on, I know how to do it. They know how to do it. We all know how to do it at this point. Well, I mean, probably not the people that need the protective order. They don't know how to do it. But you pair those type of people with somebody that really needed the help and slip through the system, because that was always my argument. If this is so common, which they would always tell me, it happens every day in family court, what about the people that are slipping through the system? And they are. And fundamentally, that's what it's about. The people on the wrong side of a protective order, they spend years trying to clear their name. They're shunned. They're paranoid. They're this, that, and whatever. But what about the people that needed the help? And it typically can happen within the same court. It almost always happens within the same court. My very first court, I'm on my fifth court, and I had a documented case of collusion, corruption. There were signs, people, but it just escalated, and then all of a sudden they turn against each other within a family court setting. I don't even know what that was that last day. And a district judge had to pull an associate judge off the bench. I mean, it was just out of control. It was like attorneys gone wild. But at one point, there was a allegation of child abuse and neglect, something like that. But it didn't come until like 2 years into it. And they wanted to depose a little girl that had just turned 12. She wasn't even part of the suit. I mean, it's not, none of my kids. And the courts wouldn't shut it down. And it kind of became a mission. Like, how do we protect this girl? Because there was just nothing there. Went into the deposition phase, used videographers and court reporters, and there's a reason for that, but that's neither here nor there. And not one of them could say what this little girl was, gonna say, anything like that. And you just assumed the court was going to shut it down, but they didn't. And in fact, our amicus, which is like an ad litem, knew the child was coached and still went to go interview the child at the home. Okay. And we were kind of like, what are you doing? And she said, well, they're not going to shut it down. Now, during the interview, this little girl said, yep, she admitted to everything. She broke her like that. I've been coached. My mom coached me. And in fact, I got my attorney file recently, and the whole list, all the notes were in there about this little girl that had just turned 12 who had been coached. So what happened from that? Nothing. Literally nothing. I would ask my attorney, what do you mean? What about the kids that really need the help? Aren't they slipping through the system? He said it happens every day in family court. Again, normalizing these false allegations. Now, it would be a year or two later, I would find out there was a man, his name's Glenn Terry, was running to the same court at the same time saying, I'm concerned mom is going to unalive this child 2 years old. And that judge, the same judge that was letting the family court games go on in my case, would not help this man. What happened? Mom unalived the 2-year-old and then unalived herself. And I've always felt it was something so important where we show people that. And I always thought it was the ad litem's amicus, ad litem's fault. And it wasn't until an advocate told me, well, it was technically your attorney's fault to get them in trouble for this. And that bothered me, because when you say it was my attorney's fault, that nothing came from it, that they didn't get in trouble for doing that, you're saying it was me. And I guess in a sense it probably was, but I didn't know because they had normalized family court games. Okay. So if we could come together and you pair somebody on the wrong side of a protective order or child abuse, false child abuse allegation standing up with somebody that really has one, that's where we're going to come together and probably make a difference.